So I'm going to introduce Jim Freedman. Jim was born and raised a Connecticut Yankee. He received a bachelor's, master's, and doctorate in engineering from Yale University. He joined IBM after graduation in 1959. This was the beginning of a distinguished career with IBM that included assignments in both England and Japan. In 1987, he moved to North Carolina and took a job in the Research Triangle Park. In 2015, he moved to the Forest at Duke, where he became involved with several committees, which led to his becoming chair of the Caucus Committee for a 3-year term on the board of the Residents Association, which led to his being elected president of the board. We welcome him here today to tell us how the Residents Association works and how you, as residents, can get involved. Thank you, Jim.
Good morning, everybody. Are you hearing me okay? I see a lot of new faces here. How many of you have been here less than 6 months? Oh, wow, that's impressive. How many been here less than 3 months? Same group. Anyway, welcome. It's a wonderful organization to be part of, and I hope that Anita gave you a good overview in terms of what the Forest at Duke is. It's a business, and it's a regulated business because I have to report through to the many reports to the North Carolina Insurance, and that protects our financial interests and so forth. So what is interesting is just recently, one of the other organizations I'll mention here shortly has worked through their lobbying arm to actually get an update to the legal requirements in terms of reporting and regulations on the insurance companies, on the CCRCs to further protect our interests. And one of those is that you must, when you review your contract, which Anita said you should look at and review, on the contract now you have to put a little ticky mark that says, you know, I'm aware I should have this reviewed by my attorney. So just out of a passing curiosity, because I know when I signed up, I did not have it done by an attorney. It's worked out fine, but so be it. Please check and see if you've had yours reviewed, because it's always good to understand exactly what your contract gives you, and quite often what you think you have is not necessarily what is defined within the contract. But in any event, let's get into what the organization, the resident organization is, if my pad doesn't keep dropping off here. I want to let you go home with 3 main points. 1, what is the Residents Association? Do we have finances, and what are they for, and how do we get them? And then how you can become involved. Next slide. Next slide. Main part is going to really talk to the organization itself. First question you have to ask yourself is, why do I need a residents association? Think about it. Because we are not involved in the governance of this organization, the Forest at Duke. It is run by the administration, and it's run by the Forest at Duke Board of Directors. And we basically are the residents. So the purpose of the organization is to represent the whole community. And we do that through the official representation as an independent legal organization. And we are a 501c7, which classifies us as a social club. Well, what is a social club? It's a gathering of people, build a community, build common interests, and be able to communicate that. As Anita pointed out, we are very distinct from the Forest at Duke organizational structure. And we are also a part of NORCRA, which is the National Organization for CCRCs, which basically represents all the CCRCs in North Carolina and is a lobbying group for the CCRCs. And as I mentioned earlier, they actually were very active in getting some of the rules and regulations upgraded in the most recent legislation. So the only association we have per se in terms of direct management of the structure here is the fact that we do have representation on the Forest at Duke Governing Board of Directors. And we basically have up to 3 residents on that board of 12, one of which automatically is the president of the Research Association, of the Residents Association, and then they that changes over when the president changes, and then there are also appointees that are made from the community itself that is then selected by the board to fill in appropriate needs and requirements of the overall structure. Next slide. So, as I said, why do we need it? Well, as a social club, the whole purpose is to communicate the needs, requirements, and desires of the organization. Now, clearly, there are many requirements that are very individual, like I've got a specific health issue that I need to have addressed in a certain way, or I have a specific diet that I need to have addressed in a very specific way. That's where Anita had mentioned one should be able to work directly with the appropriate directors, people, structure within the organization to get that appropriately resolved. But there are many other issues that come up that affect us as a community. A decision to change a road path, for example, or a decision to make significant changes within dining venues, or a variety of other issues, or a need to specialize in terms of certain types of presentations, community activities, and so forth. And by representing a unified view, it is far more effective in terms of communicating what should be done and what the needs are, as in terms of individual voices crying in the wilderness. So emphasis is to, 1, support the residents, 2, protect our interests and desires, and 3, serve as a liaison between the resident community, the executive community administration, and the governing board of the forest. Next slide. Now, what's our organization structure? The minute you sign a contract and you become a member of the Forest at Duke, you are automatically enrolled as a member in the Residents Association. Okay, so you are now all officially members of the RA. We have a board of directors, okay, that is structured with 14 people. There are 4 members on the executive team, which is the president, vice president, treasurer, and secretary. And then there are 10 directors. And the directors basically are assigned a responsibility to interface with the various organizational and offering features within the operational structure here of the Forest at Duke. They do that through chairing standing committees. The standing committees are made up of volunteer members of the community who are interested in those particular activities, and I'll get into that in a little bit later on. And In addition, they tend to interact directly with the directors listed that Anita had shown earlier as on the administrative type of structure. Next slide. Calendar basically starts November 1st. So you newcomers are here at a very, very appropriate time. Several of the executive team and the directors turn over on an annual basis. Since the executive team tenure is 2-year term, the directors are a 3-year term. And we're having our membership meeting on the October 20th of this month at 2 o'clock here in the auditorium, where we'll be voting on those new members. So I'll be retiring, a newcomer will be coming in, and you should know who that is if you've been reading some of the announcements, but if not, you'll be getting plenty of information prior to the meeting and the structure. Along with that, the committees are adjusted annually by retiring those people who have been involved for a long period of time or who want to retire, with other people coming in saying, hey, I want to get involved. And that basically happens in the November, December time period, and a call has just gone out to all the residents asking them to indicate what committees they would be interested in, because the directors themselves will then make the final selection of populating their committees to the appropriate size that they need. And in order to accommodate move-in of the further residents coming into the terraces, we're putting out another call in December to be able to make sure that if they've had time to get settled in and want to get involved, that they will be able to do that. We have basically full-size membership meetings 3 times a year. It occurs, as I said, in October with the annual membership meeting and the election, but we also have a update in March and June, and committees basically meet on a monthly basis, and the RA board specifically meets, besides at those 3 official meetings, each month on the 3rd Monday of each month. And as I commented, the standing committees do meet monthly as well, and generally with some sabbatical period in the July to September time period, depending upon what people's travels are in terms of what's going on. Next slide. Hey, it did show up. For some weird reason or other on my pad, it blocked out, but when I shipped over, it was done properly, so it is showing up. These are the 10 standing committees. You can read them. I'm not bothering to read them off to you, but basically you see it aligns with the organizational structure in terms of what is going on, and clearly covers the full spectrum of what we consider to be the residents' needs and desires. And just to put an organizational chart up for you, this is the official organization chart. Again, it's small, but you can see it on Cubigo. You can see it in the connections room. But the key really is the yellow boxes up there underneath the directors, where within the committees themselves, we have subcommittees which foster information, programs, and other aspects which cover the aspects of the entire community. Next slide. Now, as I said, membership on the committee is selected by the directors, but they're selected from the volunteers who say, I want to participate. The size varies by the committee and what needs to be done. And I've already covered the fact that requests have already gone out for new interests and volunteers just this past week, and there'll be another call going out in December. And when you look at the groups, depending on what they are covering, they really cover a wide range of needs, ranging in general from assisting the administration in terms of implementing programs and activities around here. And of course, a very significant part of that, for example, was the marketing committee assisting marketing in terms of welcoming you new residents coming in. And with the large influx of people coming in at one time, programs had to be established, quite different from what we've had in the past, where you're only introducing up to 22 people within a given year. Now we're looking at 120 people over a couple of months. So we have established programs that assign mentors to help you understand what's going on, and even temporary caucus leaders, which I'll address shortly later on, in order to build a community within your local neighborhood, but then make sure you get integrated into the entire Forest at Duke community. Because one of the really winning features of the Forest at Duke is the size is big enough to be financially stable, but small enough to really allow anybody to get to know anybody else within the community. And it's really a very significant feature, I think, to have that degree of community in here. And just as a side, Anita said that we're not associated with Duke University, but I'll tell you, and that's true, but if you're a UNC fan, you better be very careful about how you talk about that around here. Next slide. All right, we do have a budget, and this is just a brief summary of what we had for this year, which ends on November 1, and a new budget is being put in place for the 25 to 26 year. Basically, the primary form of income comes from the membership dues and sales of a pictorial directory. Although you could go to Cubigo and pull up individual pages on each resident here, once a year we publish a directory which has their pictures of the resident and name and location. And therefore, if you meet somebody and you sort of forget their name, sometimes works out quite nicely of just going to the book and flipping through it to look at pictures and say, oh, that's who I met, as compared to going to Cubigo and trying to search through it on a page-by-page basis. And the expenses cover the printing cost of the directory, the cost of putting out the Forester newsletter, which is in the just recently transferred over from being a hard copy publication to a electronic publication, but we still publish some hard copy on that for those people who have difficulty seeing and reading using their electronic devices. The information technology costs are going up as we move more and more into the technology and the hardware and software support we need beyond it. So bottom line, right now, the income exceeds expenses and has for basically since the existence of the organization, and we have a credit balance on hand of a little over almost $16,000. We have the annual solicitations, next slide, that basically show you what you might expect in terms of solicitation from the RA. As I said, the residence fees are $10 per year. That's not per month, that's per year, okay? If you're walking the streets and you pick up 3 pennies a day, and loose change on the sidewalk, you can make that up. But as I say, it covers the expenses of running what needs to be done. The pictorial directory is a out-of-pocket cost of $15 per copy. And as I said, I have gotten mine since I've come in because I find it extremely valuable. The publication will be going in process starting here shortly and will be available in early January. Now, I need to talk to the Employee Appreciation Fund because there is no tipping here at the Forest. That is owned by the residents. That is not an organizational sponsorship. So we're the ones who are responsible for generating those funds. It's our way of saying, as a community, thank you, everybody, especially those of you behind the scenes who have done so much to make our stay here as enjoyable as it has been. And that call will be going out shortly, and it was a recommended donation given if people wonder what should I give, and it is hoped that that is sort of the minimum base, and it's based on your occupancy rate times a fixed percentage. And notifications will occur both in the Forest Forward and the other means of communication that we have around here. Next slide. If you need to drop off the box, the checks, the connections room is the place to go. Find out where that is if you don't know where it is now. There's all kind of postings in there. You have access to the total minutes for the fiscal year of each committee available within the area as well. And although that's available on Cubigo as well, you can look it up there as well. But it also has a drop box where you can drop off donations to the Benevolent Fund, the RA organization fee structure, and any other solicitation that comes up. As you enter the door on the right-hand side, there are 2 boxes. The top box is for the Resident Association, and the bottom box is for the Forest of Duke if you have any messages or items you'll be dropping off for them. So find a connections room and locate where those are. Now coming into the last ground stretch, so to speak, how do you become part of the Residents Association? One, as I said, familiarize yourself with the connections room, since it gives you information of yesterday, okay? Associate yourself with both the Resident Association website as well as Cubigo. We have our own RA website where the information is posted. We found that the utilization of that website, because you need a sign-in and password to get access, as you do for Cubigo, that the usage has been dropping off significantly with the introduction of Cubigo. One of the reasons being is Cubigo connects you into the Forest at Duke. So if you want to book arrangements for dining arrangements in Rosewood, you want to book transportation to go off to shows, you want to sign up for shows that require it, you do that through Cubigo. So people have been naturally migrating, which is good, to use Cubigo, and we've been posting a lot of the current information on there as well. It's sort of duplicating somewhat what we have on the RA website, and we're working closely with Sarah and Rashad to try and decide what should we have on the Cubico and what should we keep on the RA website, and how do we best simplify getting the information you need in the simplest way. But for right now, urge you to browse through the RA website. As I said, you need your sign-in and password. If you should have gotten that when you came here, but if not, contact Erwin Abrams, and he can provide you with that information, and he's listed in the directory. So, final slide. Messages join in, become part of the community, okay? You've got your simple way of doing it, of just attending the activities such as this, and I'll tell you the type of performances that are put on here by community life and interacting with the activities committee are first class. Wide variety of musical and other forms of entertainment, a lot of movies and so forth that are really make life here very enjoyable if you're bored and have nothing to do. Join in on the committees, because that gets you involved in terms of, one, utilizing your capabilities and interests, but two, satisfying from your own inner self information that you want to get and influence those areas. And make sure that we all have active caucuses. Now, I didn't really speak much of that, but in order to encourage and develop community, we have geographically set up neighborhoods, so to speak, which are based on the geographical location of units, to first of all get people to know their neighbors, immediate neighbors, okay? And that caucus is a form of communication in terms of letting them know what is going on and getting together for social activities and whatever. And they're represented by a caucus leader. And as I say, we'll be structuring to move to get that implemented with the new residents in the terraces after they've been settled in and have a feel for what is going on around here and want to get involved in helping to move the organization forward. But the bottom line is there's something for everybody, and I'm sure you all want to stay as actively involved as I have, because it has a lot of great benefits. With that, questions, and that's it. Any questions? Biographies are available on the RA website, and they're available on Cubico. If you click on the individual name per se, you should get access to the bio of that individual. Now, we've been having some difficulties in the sense that we are not allowed, we meaning the RA organization IT committee, is not allowed to transfer the bios on the RA website over to Cubico, okay? The individual must do that. And we've been pleading for people to get involved, to transfer it and so forth. We put out several information nodes in you know, how to do that. And if you need further information, I can put you in touch with the right type of people, okay? And that's going to be a key issue as we look to next year, because there's been sort of a modified bio being put out for the new terrace residents to acquaint themselves with the people coming in, and we've got to make sure that gets ported over as well so that all bios are available. But it's an issue we're aware of and we're dealing with. Not very successfully, but we're trying hard. It's, it's, yeah, I think forestres.org should be. If not, ship me an email and I can get it to you. I'm listing a directory with my email address under Freedman, Freedman. Anything else? I move the meeting be adjourned unless